Judas?
Peter, what do you want?
It was you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was me. Not that it was any big mystery. He knew. Did the others send you to find me? Put a bounty on my head, maybe?
No. I had my own reasons for looking for you.
What made you look here?
It makes sense. I knew that you'd feel alone. Betrayal of a friend does that to a person. Anyway, this was the last place we were all together. The last place things felt like they did before. It just made sense that you'd be here.
Yes, like things were before. I guess that's what brought me here. We were a team, and we were going to change the world. He made us believe it could be so. And so long I believed. But that's not how it is now, is it? I destroyed it all, and you're here to make me pay, right?
Well, I'll suffer from the Master's betrayal, Judas. And yes, I'm still very angry with you for what you did. But that's not why I'm here. I guess you don't know we have more in common than you realize. You see, I betrayed him too.
You what?
3 times I had the opportunity to stand by the Master, to declare my loyalty. And 3 times I failed him. When the others asked, I said I didn't even know him. The Master went to his death needing friends. But I was nowhere to be found.
Oh.
So I came to find someone who might be feeling the same way that I am now.
Feeling the same way I am, huh? Do you have a pain deep inside of you that just won't go away? I don't mean something like a pain. I mean a real pain, like somebody ran a sword through you. Do you?
I had pain like that at first. But then I cried and I cried until it seemed like I couldn't cry anymore. Now it's more like a numbness which reaches to every part of my body, to my soul.
Numb? I'd pray to God that He would be merciful to make me numb. But would He listen to me now? But is this really why you've come? To talk about what it feels like to fail a friend?
Yes, but it's really much more than that. Much more than that. You know, I've always been a man of action. If you damage your boat, you don't sit around bemoaning your fate. You do what you have to do to fix things, and you go on. That's the way I've always been. But now, I don't know. I don't know how to fix this. What do we do to fix this, Judas?
What do we do? Now, I really doubt that you could feel as I do. There's nothing to do. It's all over. It's done. And I've turned on a friend. I've failed God. I'm only fit for the garbage heap.
But you can't talk that way, Judas. It's so unlike what He taught us. Even though what you've done, what we've both done, seems unforgivable, there should always be some way it can be made right. Jesus is still Jesus. Judas, Jesus still loves you. And He still loves me.
Thank you, Peter, for those words. You may have denied Jesus, but you haven't turned from me. In your kindness, you haven't turned from what Jesus taught. And somehow, even now, I know He sees that. But I can't find the grace you speak of in my heart. There's only one way I can make things right. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That's what the law says. Payment must be made.
Payment must be made. Payment must be made. That's it, of course. That sounds like what Jesus would have said. It's what He did say back when we all started traveling to Jerusalem. He said He would have to suffer many things and that He would have to die. I didn't understand them then. I told Him so. He said to me, instead of explaining it all, He said, "Get behind me, Satan." That hurt so badly when He said it. But now I understand. I understand what He was trying to teach us. Payment had to be made. And He had to make it. When you betray a friend, you really can't do anything to make it right. You can only accept what God has already done. Jesus made the payment. And now He freely forgives. He gives His forgiveness to me who denied Him, and to you, Judas. Judas? Oh, Judas. Judas. Now you betray not only the Lord, but you betray yourself as well. Jesus gave us so much so freely. I only wonder how many others will insist on punishing themselves. One of our family's favorite movies is The Princess Bride. It tells the story of two lovers who lose each other for 5 years, and after a series of adventures and misadventures, find each other again. At one point, each is sure the other is dead. My favorite line in the whole movie is, "Life is pain. Anyone who tells you something else is trying to sell you something." The funny thing about this line is that it comes in the middle of a movie about a perfect love. Perfect love. Does it really exist? I wonder sometimes. I'm married. I remember promising to love, honor, and cherish Erica. Always. But can any of us really do that in a marriage perfectly? I can't. You can't. No one can. We all fall short of that perfect love. Sometimes I think we idealize relationships too much in America. Not just marriages, but families and friendships. We expect them to be ever so much better than they can be. We all wish we had that lovely romance forever, or that great friendship that we see in movies like Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, or on TV. But in fact, in every relationship, there comes a time when the other person lets you down. Sometimes you see it in the movies, sometimes you see it on TV. But quite frankly, not often enough. The reason is clear. People watch TV to escape their problems. The reason that blow-ups in relationships don't happen often on TV is that they happen all too often in real life. People let you down. It happens in marriage. It happens to parents when your loving children grow up to be teenagers and think they know ever so much more than you do. Don't get me wrong. I think we all wish our children would be smarter than us, just not quite so soon. Or you teenagers out there, there comes a time when the parents who always said, go anywhere, do everything, fill your dreams. But then they sit down and they say, you need to take out the garbage. Why? Because I said so. Even our friends let us down. We have differences, blowouts. Over years we may drift apart. We promise to stay in touch with our friends, but often we don't. How many friends do you have that you haven't talked to in years? Life is pain. Relationships are pain. Not always, but often enough. The question is, what do you do with that pain? Especially, what do you do when that pain is yours? When the one needing forgiveness is you? Two men tonight then, both needing forgiveness for what they had done. Both men in pain at having betrayed a friend. The question tonight is, what do they do with that pain? Or more importantly, what do we do with that kind of pain? Two men, two ways of dealing with pain, both famous. One dealt with it, became known as a saint, turned his life around, became a pillar of the church. Some Christians say even the first pope. The other died at his own hands. One lived with the pain, learned from the pain, grew from the pain. The other let the pain wither him until there was nothing left. Which way do any of us deal with pain? Now it is true that payment must be made. Payment must be made for betrayal, and the payment is pain and separation. But how do we make payment when we hurt others? How do we make payment when we hurt God? Do we pay with our lives? Do we pay with our happiness so that we live our lives always miserable for what we've done? Or will we allow ourselves to make mistakes? Are there some mistakes that are unforgivable? My own experience in my life as a pastor and chaplain is that most people are harder on themselves than other people are. Often, people are more willing to forgive others than they are to forgive themselves. Certainly this is true of Judas and Jesus. I really believe that Jesus could have forgiven Judas if Judas had been willing to ask. But no, it wasn't to be. What is true for Judas is true for Peter and for us. We all betray Christ when we fail to see the holiness of our relationships with others. We may think our relationships are ordinary. We take our relationships for granted. But in doing so, we can rob those same relationships of their ability to teach us and help us to grow. What is true for Peter and Judas is true for us. We need forgiveness for not treating others and ourselves with the same kind of gentle care that Jesus does take with us. We need forgiveness because inevitably in our relationships we hurt the ones we are closest to, the ones we are supposed to help, protect, and cherish. Jesus will forgive us all. Jesus not only forgives, but He makes payment. He suffers with us and for us when we fail with the pain of relationships. Jesus reconciles. He brings peace. For Jesus knew the pain of betrayal. I believe that that's one of the reasons He died on the cross, to bring others back together. He understands our pain and still forgives. Because Jesus forgives, He makes it possible for us to forgive others and to forgive ourselves because we have been forgiven. Life is pain, as I said, all too often. But we have a choice. Do we give in to the pain of the relationships in our lives? And when we hurt others, we also have a choice. We can choose to be forgiven or not. To forgive ourselves or not. Whether other people will forgive us. One way, the way avoiding forgiveness, is the road to death and despair. That's the road that Judas took. The other is the path of life and hope. That way, Peter took. Which way will we choose?